Alerts podcast. We are your hosts. This is Nicole, and this week I am joined once again by Armani.
What's up, guys?
And Dexter.
What's going on, y'all?
On this and another episode of Paint Sundays Black, because that's what we're calling these now. This week's episode of Lovecraft Country is episode 6, Meet Me in Daegu. Last week, I had said that I thought that this week was going to be a bunch of crap because based on the preview, we saw it was going to be a very heavy episode about
Atticus's ex-girlfriend.
Yes, and we all know how I feel about Atticus. However, it was a good episode. It takes the entire episode is shot in South Korea. What is her name?
It's actually shot in South Korea.
I don't know. I'm just saying it was about like.
Oh, it took place.
Okay.
It was set. Yeah. It's Jamie Chung.
What's her name on the show? Do we know what her name is on the show?
Oh yes. I know. I was just looking at her name. However, it doesn't stick in my head because it's not the easiest name to remember.
Got it. We see that this is during the war in Korea, and she's a nurse, and we see that, you know, she's kind of awkward and making friends or trying to fit in. She's trying to find the husband, which is pretty prevalent. Or no, okay, you assume she's trying to find a husband because when her mom told her you need to bring home a man, you assume she was talking about you need to find a husband. Because that's what you see a lot of in Asian-inspired movies, things like that. Find a man. Find a husband. So she tells you need to bring home a man tonight. I was like, okay.
I like how she just did that on command, too.
Yeah. So she's at work, and some of the ladies from work decide to go out now out the gate. She's being hit on by this. It's very clear she's being hit on by this one young lady. So it's just like, okay, she's not even. I feel like I've seen this before. Like, I've seen this kind of exchange before somewhere in movies.
Like in a different movie.
I don't know. It just seemed really cliche. I was just like, was this necessary? I didn't think this was necessary. But yeah, watching it the first time around, because I watched it 1.5 times, I was like, I don't know if I needed that. Like, that was completely unnecessary to the plot or the functioning of this episode to have old girl hitting on her. If she had reciprocated in any way or seemed like she was interested, then maybe, but there was nothing. So, whatever. Unnecessary gayness. You're allowed to say that. As the resident gay on the podcast.
Instead of them just being friends, you're basically saying?
Yes. Instead of it just being legitimate friends. And at first, when they were in the class, it didn't even seem like they liked her. It didn't even seem like they was fucking with her. So then they start hitting on her, and then whatever. They go out.
Nah, she gave her cat eyes. She was giving her that look.
That look?
I don't know what that look is, but I know what it was.
Okay, it was more than a friendly look. For sure. So they go out, and she brings home a man, and they start engaging in coitus, as Sheldon would say. And we immediately get things coming out of every orifice of her body. Mm-hmm. Furry tentacle coming out of her. And it was like, yo, is this chick like a praying mantis? What is she? Like, I was like, this is interesting. But it turns out
it's like hairy spider stuff. It's nasty.
Yeah, it's just like this weird.
Yeah, it was very interesting. For it to come out of every orifice, it was her nose, her eyes, everything. That was very weird.
We learned that Gia is a gimono or something like that. I had it actual pronunciation written down, and earlier it's out of my mind now. Huh?
Yeah, you was definitely saying it.
Yeah, I was saying it properly earlier. But now I can't pronounce it again. What it is, though, is there's this folklore in Korea, China, and Japan, and it changes a little bit from each country to country. But it is the story that if foxes live, I think it's over 1,000 years, they turn into this. And these foxes have the ability to transform into different shapes, including those of women who are known to be beautiful and take advantage of or like steal hearts and or livers from men, depending on which region the story originates from. But it looked like they look like nine tails.
Did you guys ever watch that show, Love, Sex, Robots?
No, it's on the to watch list though.
There's like an episode about that basically.
Oh, really? Okay. What are Nine Tails powers?
Fire.
Nine Tails is a fire Pokemon?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you say, Dexter?
I watched like 2 of those episodes of what'd you call it? Robot Love.
Yeah.
Love, Sex, Robots?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. We learned that's what she is, and her mother had summoned her. I don't know if they really even tell why the mother summoned this thing. Maybe her daughter had died, and this was a way to keep her alive in some form. But her end goal is she needs to consume 100 souls in order to turn back human, is what she needs to do. She beats Atticus. We get Atticus in the story, soldier, doing what he's told. They round up a bunch of the women, the nurses, because they said that there's communist communications were coming from the camp around this time, so it clearly belongs to this shift of. So one of y'all's a communist. Who is it? They start killing people. I wasn't expecting that. Like see someone get shot. Multiple people just get shot pretty quickly. That happened, and then the chick who was giving her the more than friend's eyes speaks up and says she's the communist. They take her away. Atticus got injured and then ends up in a hospital, and now Gia's taking care of him. This is where we see the start of the Gia-Atticus relationship. It's because even though, she watched him engage or be complicit in the killing of her friends or her coworkers, she still got to treat him. It's still her job. I thought it was funny when he asked her to read him. He asked her to read her the book, and she just tells him the synopsis and gives it back. Like, she tells him what happens, and his face is like, I asked you to read it to me because I didn't have my glasses. I didn't ask you to just tell me what happened. So we get this kind of back and forth between them. They become friends. It's kind of cute, and clearly they like each other. It just kind of escalates pretty quickly. We then also learn that Atticus is a virgin. So she's like, the first time they were gonna have sex, she didn't want to because she's developed feelings for him, which she tells her mother, I'm like this creature that's not supposed to have feelings or whatever, according to you, but I've actually developed feelings for this person. And her mom's like, I don't give a fuck about your feelings.
Go catch them bodies.
Basically, because I want my daughter back, and you're wasting my time, kind of thing. But then her and Atticus end up having sex, and she doesn't. Her tentacles or whatever don't come out.
Yeah, didn't she I thought she pushed him away.
The first time she pushed him away, but then the second time when they actually had sex, she didn't, nothing happened to him. So it was like, does she have the ability to control this? Is it tied to the fact that she has real emotions? Or what? That was never addressed of why she didn't change, but she likes him.
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Here goes my crazy theory. She was on top. She was controlled. He was a little virgin, and he wasn't really doing nothing. She was doing everything. The second time, he was in control. He was handling his business. She let loose. She probably cut, and that's when the furry eyeball thing came out.
Okay, that's not a unreasonable synopsis to make, I guess. And when that happens, now previously when it happened with her and the guy, she would see their past. And she mentioned that she's seen all these guys' past. But with Atticus, she was able to not only see his past, but his future.
Yeah, because she didn't kill him.
Yeah, obviously. He didn't die.
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah. So she sees his future, and she tells him, you're going to die. Of course, he freaks out because he has no knowledge of magic at this point. And like any normal man would do, he bolts. And she goes or her mother takes her to whoever I guess it was that summoned her. We didn't really get an explanation of who this woman in this very nice surroundings was. Beautifully shot. It was really pretty aesthetics. And she tells her none of that shit matters. But she's trying to figure out whether or not Atticus's future is really going to come true or not. So he doesn't give her an answer, really. She don't really answer that question. That's pretty much how this episode went. It was just a lot of that.
Yeah, basically kind of filler in a way.
Filler and more discovery, which it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I don't know if we needed a whole hour. Did we need a whole hour to do this?
No. And I feel like it also kind of added some confusion to the entire show, because it's why was Atticus tripping so much when he first, when they first experienced those monsters? He was like, oh no, this can't be real. Mm-hmm. But this isn't the first time you've seen this, bro.
I could see how you could, okay, maybe. Dexter.
I don't get it either. I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like there's more coming. I feel like they just ended it because it was a good time to end it. However, I just don't know about this show. I can't really even give you a take on how I feel about it, because I don't really know exactly how this show, where it's going. I kind of think that this is a step into the direction of us understanding more, but I'm not sure. Like, because in reality, like, she's been around since the first episode. They've been in contact since the first episode. And again, she told him not to go back. And that's why she told him not to go back, because of what she saw. So it kind of makes sense as to the story that we've seen. However, I don't really know where it's going and how to really judge it. I mean, I thought the episode was okay. Apparently, excuse me, I know you had to read it pretty much for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes of the show. So it
that
was
was
interesting.
talking point that you had mentioned before.
Yeah.
You want to go into that?
Yeah, I just was saying how it's interesting when they use authentic language with subtitles versus when they decide to make something with English with some sort of accent, because because we've seen plenty of movies where they are, where they have English accents, but they're not speaking the native tongue. You know what I mean? So I was just saying it's interesting how sometimes they choose to go with that. Like, we've seen all types of timepieces, Troy, all these other things that, they just have people that speak with a little English accent, but they got a little twang to their little English accent. And you're like, well, whatever, because we want to understand what we're watching. However, most movies would be in their native tongue, and we wouldn't be able to just have them talk in English. Like, that's cool. Like, if anybody's ever seen Apocalypto, like, that was the first movie I remember seeing where it was just all subtitles and it was like a modern movie. You know what I mean? And everything that you didn't understand anything. There was no English in the movie whatsoever. However, you get used to reading it, and there's so much going on the screen. You don't care that you're just reading it at a certain point, which I feel like, they did an alright job with this in that capacity. Like, at first it was like, all right, I gotta pay attention to this, really pay attention. However, after a while, it's like, good TV.
Yeah, honestly, I think that made the episode better. Armani, what do you think about that?
I feel like when they actually use the accent, I mean, not the accents, but the native language, it shows or it adds a level of authenticity to it.
Yeah.
Instead of like that laziness of, okay, Americans aren't going to want to watch this if it's subtitled, so we're just not even going to bother.
I just realized the first movie that I remember seeing in the movie theater that was fully subtitled was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I remember seeing that, and that's subtitled.
Yeah, like movies like that, like, you know what I mean? But, movies like that have so much going on visually, you don't necessarily have to have, dialogue that you understand, you know what I mean? As long as you can follow the story. Just recently, we seen that in Train to Busan. And what's the other movie? The one that got the Oscar. Parasite.
Parasite, yeah. Yeah, all really great movies. Well, and you know what? Okay. But Parasite was legitimately a foreign film. Train to Busan is a foreign film. You're more so talking American-made media that chooses
to be subtitled.
And I think it does add.
You're right.
Yeah, it makes it better. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon can very well have been done in English because that cast all spoke English. I mean, you got Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh, so like that could have been done in English. But anyway, so yeah, I think they did make it better. I am here for the previews for the next episode. Next episode is clearly a Hippolyta heavy episode. Really, what they've done at this point is we've got Atticus's backstory, we've got Letty's backstory, we've got Letty's sister's backstory, we've got backstory
on his dad
for the most part, or just some exposition on his dad, not necessarily a whole lot of backstory. And next episode is going to be Hippolyta.
Yeah, I feel like this is also going to touch a little bit on his uncle as well.
Hopefully. Because that's going to put us 7 episodes deep in a 10-episode series. Are we going to assume that they're going to hit us with the story in an episode and a half, possibly? Like, this is going to be some old soap opera type thing where we're not going to get back to the beginning or to the meat and potatoes until the end of episode 9 and then all of episode 10.
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking is probably going to happen?
I feel like it. It's going to be like another Watchmen.
Yeesh.
We might not get meat and potatoes at all.
I mean, if that happens, I'm going to be highly disappointed. But wow, that'll be interesting if that was to happen.
I mean, essentially, think about it. Think about what they've actually given us so far. They've given us, I mean, I guess we count the eggs before they hatch, because one of my favorite seasons or shows The whole season is, I'm talking about the Haunted Hill House. For the Haunted Hill House, every episode pretty much is about one of the kids or one of the characters on the show. And then it closes up the last 3 episodes or so, 2 episodes or so. You know what I mean? In reality, all we're looking for is a conclusion that is satisfactory to what we've been watching. You know what I mean? We need it all to tie together. So essentially, just give us a reason to watch again. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what do we really need for it to be satisfactory for us to be okay to want to watch some more?
And I think that's probably the question too. Having not read the book, although I downloaded it I have it on Audible and I intended to listen to it before the show started. However, I didn't. So I don't know how much of the book we've gotten on this show and whether or not this book, because it's a single book, it's not a series, lends itself to the possibility of a season 2 of a series. Is there a season 2 in here, or is this just a season 1 thing? Like, is this a 1 season thing? I mean, we get so used to expecting season 2s and expecting season 3s, but Watchmen has taught us, don't get comfortable. You could only get 1 season of this, so enjoy it. And this is all it was meant to be and all it was ever gonna be. So do we think that this could possibly be something that gets, and maybe we're having this conversation way too early. Maybe this is a last episode conversation, but I guess just a thinking point for future. Is this something that we could see a season 2 of? And do we want more than 1 season of this?
I feel like the show would have to pick up in the, like we said, in the last 2 episodes to really be worth a second season. Because I feel like if it ends, no, I think they have to leave us with some cliffhanger. Because I don't feel like the season's strong enough
yet
to really, but we're a little bit past halfway.
I mean, yeah. Dexter, what do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's more, I don't really know yet. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not really sure yet. I think that it's going to work out. I think that this season, it's got to be good, y'all. Like, the ending's got to be good. I just feel like the ending has got to, like, I feel like it has to be going somewhere. But the thing about it is, I understand why you guys feel the feel, because essentially what they've done is every episode they have taken you to a different place instead of one place. We don't know where we're going. It's literally a journey or a new story, just like you said earlier in, the podcast. It's like anthology based, but it's a tie-in. So it's like everything ties into the episode before it. However, it feels like its own thing. You know what I mean? And even this one, it's its own thing. And then it's like what we're going to get next, like the preview for the next episode looks like its own thing again. You know what I mean? So we're like getting these stories, these individual stories for everybody that's a character. So what's going to happen is the question. I don't know. I mean, I think you guys should, give it a little bit more. I don't want to tell you, but give it a little bit more time, in the sense of what they've just built up for this one is they've built up something for the next episode, so you can see how, because Tick left, obvious. So now we get to see where she's going to play, because she's a whole monster and we might need her monster self. You know what I mean? We never seen what she does or how it's done, but it has to be something that comes back full circle. She's not calling him for no reason.
Because she fell in love with him and she's trying to save him. So what happens when you put her and Letty on screen together? Like, how
it is what it is. It's going to be what it is. I think at that point, the question is, where is the antagonist? That's the problem. Where is the antagonist on the show?
It's Elizabeth. Elizabeth is. Like, they've kind of made it seem like Elizabeth might have some, at the end of the day, I believe it's Elizabeth. It's Elizabeth. Because she wants what she wants for probably the wrong reason. It's going to come out that it's going to be for the wrong reasons or whatever. But I believe it's Elizabeth's power to be recognized, to be a white man. I mean, that's what it is. She wants a place, and she wants to feel fit. Like, why does she want access to the Garden of Eden? Why does she want this power?
I thought it was for immortality.
Is that what she wants? She wants immortality, but why would you want that?
I mean, why not?
So, and that's why I think Elizabeth is probably the antagonist at the end of the day. I mean, we've already learned that she had the ability to shapeshift into William, and she let, Ruby You know, the way she got Ruby on her side was through deception. The way that she got Letty that house was through deception. She knew she wanted something that was in that house. So she's been the most deceptive person on the show thus far. So I'm gonna give her that title of antagonist.
You got that.
All
Her
right.
dad is pretty deceptive.
Ain't he dead? He's dead now.
Not his dad.
Oh, but you mean no, you mean Atticus is dead.
I mean, not her dad. Yeah, his dad.
That's gonna be interesting. Moving on, The Boys, episode 5. This was an interesting episode. I hate Queen Maeve. I hate her hair. It's a terrible wig. I don't understand why they put that wig on that woman, and I just hate her hair from episode to episode. I've hated it for all of season 1. It's terrible, and I don't know if I feel like it's got to be intentional that they've given her this terrible hair because Amazon has money. And it bothers me. But we open up the episode pretty much.
Tell them why you mad, real quick.
I'm done. That was it.
Yo, no, I'm gonna sound off on her too. I hate when she's on the screen.
Oh man.
I'm like, so right off rip, like when she's on the screen, it's usually nothing happening on the screen. Like every time that she's on the screen, it's this sad thing. I don't even know what she does. What's her power? Why has she got to be so sad? Everybody else, I guess she's the sad person on.
I don't like. Okay. It serves a driving purpose as to why she's traumatized. She's been freaking emotionally abused by Homelander forever at this point. Like we're getting that this has been going on for a long time. So she's been subject to serious emotional abuse at the hands of Homelander. And she doesn't she feels like there's nothing she can do about it. She's been living this life. So we're seeing this superhero who is in an abusive relationship, essentially, is what we're getting. So she is sad and miserable. I get, yeah. But this episode opens up with Homelander forcing her to come out. Well, last episode, he forced her to come out as gay. And they're shooting this commercial or this, I guess, infomercial, whatever they're shooting for whatever reason why. And he's making her come out on the thing to say she's gay. And then they bring in her lover and she makes a good point. She was like, you do realize, because I'm going to go ahead. We're going to jump around this episode a little bit because we're just going to do that. The part where they told Maeve and old girl that they were going to basically style them and put them into these gender conforming roles. And she brings the point. She's like, she's bisexual, right? And they were like, it's easier for us to sell, just lesbians with these gender specific roles. And that's been a hot button topic this past week I've seen on social media it's been a conversation about bi erasure has been a thing. I know this was not intentional on Amazon's part to obviously put this episode out. This just happened to happen and they just happened to have this in there. They're kind of addressing bi erasure at a time when this conversation is actually being had in the world. So what's
that word again? It's bi erasure?
Yes. Bisexual erasure has been a conversation because of Andrew Gillum coming out and saying he's bisexual and people saying that bisexuality is not a thing and that he's just gay. We're not going to deep dive into that. I don't agree with that. Armani, I'm assuming you would not agree with that either.
No, I don't agree.
Okay, I didn't really need to ask that question. Yeah, bi erasure is a thing and it's kind of trash. But that's what's going on in this episode as well. What else happened? We get more Homelander being an asshole.
Homelander has a conversation with Stormfront. Stormfront basically tells him, wait, is that last episode?
No, him and Stormfront did have a conversation this episode. She was kind of playing and kind of egging everybody on, kind of poking at everyone this episode. There was some confrontation with her and A-Train. And A-Train is like, yo, who the fuck are you, basically? Where did you come from? You can tell me what to do. Because she was like, yeah, just, let it go or whatever. I actually don't even totally remember that conversation between the two of them. But A-Train is forced out of the 7, and they're like, you need to give your goodbye speech. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And basically, the main chick in charge of their marketing or their main PR lady was like, look, either you can give this speech, or the guy, actually the director, he's like, you can give this speech, or we can tell everybody how you were abusing that drug. You pick. and then we'll just fire you for your violating the morality clause. So he just kind of backed into the corner, and he's like, all right, fuck it, he's got to go at this point.
Basically, fired or retire.
Yeah, exactly.
Did him a little dirty. So, and then he had to do, like, that was part of the movie. Like, that was the thing. He wasn't trying to shoot that part of the movie because they wanted him to do it for the scene. And he was like, I'm not doing that. I need you to rewrite this. And it was like, listen, bruh, you either get it done or you done. Either way, you done. Bow out gracefully.
We see the Deep get married, and he's now the face of that weird church, whatever that is.
That was interesting.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if that was out of nowhere or what, but let's just get to the good shit on this episode at the end of the day. Actually, the episode started with Homelander getting called out because he accidentally killed somebody on one of his missions. And when he made the comment, he was like, oh, so they're starving, but one of them happens to have a cell phone? I laughed so fucking hard. I like, he's such an asshole.
Yeah, that was bad fun. I don't know about that being an accident. Were you sure it was an accident?
I mean, yeah, because he shot the one guy, and the person he accidentally killed happened to be on the other side of the sheet. So he didn't see him. It was an accident. It was genuinely an accident. And they were trying to tell him, lay low, let us handle it. We don't want you to say nothing. But of course, he doesn't do that. He shows up at a rally that's anti-Homelander. And he's like, look, calm down. It's not that. We basically see him falling the fuck apart. Like, he's having a breakdown.
Poor guy.
He's losing control, and he's not used to not being in control. It's very clear. Stormfront comes to his aid, and she's like, hey, I got a friend who can, help you get out from under some of this. And she does it, and it helps a little bit. And then he goes to her, and he's just like, why did you do this? Or what do you want? Or whatever. And this is where we get the Stormfront Homelander make-out scene.
Make-out?
I mean, they did a lot more than make-out. They destroyed shit. It was interesting.
They got it the fuck in. I don't know I don't understand. I don't understand what you mean. Like, they made us wish we could fly and shit. I was like, oh, I ain't never seen TV. Like, you know what I mean? You know how we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of television. I mean, whether, within the bad things and the good things that we've seen all types of things. Like, how many times, man, I ain't never seen that done ever. But it's like they've never had superheroes
having sex in midair.
This racy.
Yeah.
Like, that's why The Boys what The Boys is, you know what I'm saying? Because they are off the chain, all of them. Like, all they really got to do to keep this show going is just keep replacing the people. Like, they need to replace Black Noir with somebody else who got a problem. And they could just replace the people who ain't doing nothing for people that got problems. We good. Like, because seeing these people fall apart is very interesting stuff. But anyway, seeing them two in the air, you know what I mean? But the question is, can she die from him? Because that laser my tits shit.
Mm-hmm.
Laser my tits more. He's like, I'm going to hurt you. Nah, you want to do it. And then, like, she's sitting here with it. It's just a testament of what type of pain she can take and why she's probably still around. And, like, what's her secret? Does she have a weakness?
Do any of them really have a weakness is the question. I mean, we don't know if any of them, what any of their real weaknesses happen to be or what they are going to be. Clearly, we know supers can die because they have died. And you mentioned Black Noir. He's chasing around
Billy the Butcher.
Yes. And they blow up his grandma's house, whose grandmother's a drug dealer. Is his grandmother or his aunt? His aunt, right? I think. She turns out to be a drug dealer. They blow up her house. He, at the end of the day, said that he was willing to expose the fact that Homelander had a kid as a product of rape if any harm came to him or his friends. I'm pretty sure that his ex is not going to like the fact that he was willing to throw her child under the bus like that. And of course, Mother's Milk's looking at him like, oh, this is what's really going on. And he has a little dude that's there with him. Is also looking at him like, this explains some things. This is interesting.
Does she even like him?
Who?
Is that, like, you know what I mean? Usually it's a love story, but does she even like him still? Like,
yeah, no, she was ready to run away with him up until she kind of realized he wasn't really going to accept her son because of the fact that he was a super and that he hates supers so much. So that's when she, was like, never mind.
Yeah. He started talking down to the kid.
Yeah. So then that was just like, all right, that's not happening. Yeah. Anything else? Any other takeaways for The Boys season 5 or episode 5? We still don't know what Stormfront's endgame is. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be some crazy shit when it comes out. So that's what this season's build up is to. Is going to be. It's like, what is Stormfront really up to, and how much havoc is it gonna cause?
Man, she looks like she wants to overthrow. She wants to be Homeland.
Yeah, that's what does. That is true. Next up on the docket, Power, episode 3, Power book.
Go.
We get to see Tasha attend a mock trial, which I thought was interesting. The pacing of that threw me off a little bit because I was like, really, we're only going to have her sit through the defensive side. We're not going to push her, but they do end up pushing her because they bring out Tamika, who I didn't particularly care for on Power, but I like her here.
Same, but it's the Tyreek effect.
Yeah, that when she was cross-examining Tasha, it was like, oh, there's all kinds of holes in this story that just don't seem. And granted, Tasha was telling the truth and everything she was saying was honest, but it's just like, it sounds real suspect that you didn't know more than what you're saying you knew. And yeah, you try to come off as this weak mom, but you're not.
Yo, it's crazy because it's sad that in a particular situation like this, you have someone who is not really guilty, but because of the holes in your story, you can't prove that you're not guilty. That's trash. Like, she didn't really do what they're accusing her of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, I didn't kill Ghost. And I'm not no damn kingpin. I'm not no damn kingpin. Like, Queen Pin, whatever. I'm not that. I was really trying to clean up my life. You know what I mean? From what this nigga was doing all the time. Like, and yeah, I might have moved a little shady or whatever, trying to fix my life. But in reality, I didn't really do any of the things y'all are trying to accuse me of. And I really did kill this guy. Like, my son kills him because he wasn't feeling him. Like, and now I'm sitting here having to prove to y'all things that I really didn't do. But because of the fact that I knew some things about this, or I knew a couple of things about that, y'all can't even believe me. Like, that's crazy how credibility has nothing to do with the actual crime.
Yeah, I mean, Tasha's not innocent.
Like, wasn't she selling drugs out of that daycare?
She was selling out of the daycare. She did kill her friend because she thought she was gonna, rat or whatever.
But that's what I mean. She's not on trial for none of this stuff. She's not on trial for the crazy stuff. Like, she's on trial for the things that she didn't do. And the way that it's unfolding is like, that whole mock trial was to show that you look guilty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, you look guilty. And like us as the viewer, we know that she's not guilty at all for what they're saying that she's not guilty. I mean, that she's guilty for, rather.
Very true. We see Tariq challenge his professor again, and he has to kind of take the L because he challenges the professor, makes some valid points, and then he has old girl in his ear tell him, look, you just need to say what they want to hear so you can pass. And when he does that, he then gets fails on this paper, and then we find out that the guy teaching the course is not the person grading the papers, which almost is a really great concept with a course like this, or in most courses. Like, it takes it allows for more objectivity in a course that like this. Like, you have one person teaching it, and if you don't like the way I'm teaching or like the way I say things or my opinions on things, and you do this paper, you have somebody who's not biased necessarily to your opinion who's actually going to grade this. So I do like the fact that they're handling this course like this. I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah. And then he goes to the black dude who actually failed them, and I mean, he gave him valid reasons. He's like, you weren't authentic. You put on a show. You said what you thought needed to be said in order to pass, and that's why you're failing, because you need to be true to yourself. So Tariq gets a lesson here. We see. Oh, did y'all have anything about?
I wasn't necessarily a fan of that, because I mean, you're in college, so really, your professor is going to give you your grade, because to pass a class, you kind of have to just do what your teacher, like, you have to work towards your teacher.
Yeah, you definitely have to play to your teacher. I feel you. I was sitting here thinking, do I want to say something as well? Because it's cool, and there is benefit to what you said, Nick, when you said that it's two people to go through and you get a different filter, basically. But sometimes you get a double filter, or sometimes you got someone who doesn't help you at all. He literally is talking to this guy. This guy is telling him what needs to be done, and you're like, all right, well, this is how I pass. You got this other guy telling me to be true to myself. Being true to myself is not what gets me a good grade all the time. And maybe that's the problem, I guess. Is that the time to take a stand with your money?
Which money is the big question. True that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is that the time to take a stand? I get if you're compromising yourself, your integrity, and things of that nature, but that's not really what he was doing, was it?
Well, this isn't just a regular college course either. This is an advanced, accelerated course that's going to have you graduating. So this is not necessarily just your regular English Comp 101, where you read a book, you write what you think, you regurgitate the same bullshit someone said. This is an advanced, thought-provoking course. So as long as you can, it's not even really right or wrong answers. It's a matter of, can you formulate opinion and can you verbalize it and back it up with, can you speak to what you think and can you speak to how you feel? That's more so what it is. So if that's what you're being graded on, or that's what this course is pushing these students to do, then yes, you need to have your opinion and stand firm on it, not just write to what your teacher wants to. Like, it's not that course. I get what you're saying. There are those courses, and that's what most basic college courses are, but he's not in a basic college course. And it's really to show that Tariq is smarter, and his first course of action is to try to manipulate the system as opposed to standing for, like, making a decision. He wants to always game the system is like his first instinct. Now we're learning that shit might work on the street, but it's not going to work in his classroom. So it's really a juxtaposition for the double life that he's leading. So, like, what life are you really trying to be in?
I think that's the hardest thing. That's the worst part about it, because you're telling me to be myself. I don't want myself. Gave you my opinion. When I gave the professor my opinion, he didn't like my opinion. He literally has a problem with my stance. You know what I'm saying? He has a problem with me being condescending. He doesn't have a problem with me and how I feel. He has a problem with me being condescending. I don't know. It sounds like he just wanted to hear what he wanted to hear. And I feel like the black guy was like, well, say what you need to say, forget what they think, put out whatever thought that you have. That has benefits to it. Again, it's like saying, do what you want to do for a customer. Doing what you want to do in your heart, I guess you got to live with it. But on the same note, it's for a consumer. And it's like all the work you're doing is for your professor. The only person you got to please is your professor, no?
Under normal circumstances, yeah. But I think this course is supposed to push them beyond just that. I think the whole thing, period, again, is just a catalyst for this season of he's having to survive in two worlds, and he's going to have to make a choice sooner than Ghost had to make a choice of which world do you want to be in. Granted, you're living in the street world to help your mom, but there is something else out there, which is what your dad was trying to do, which he didn't realize until it was too late. And he fumbled how he wanted to go about that, because he started off being a drug dealer and, this kingpin, and it was trying to get clean and do the right thing, but you did it too late. And you have too many people that you brought into this fast money world that they're like, nah, we don't want to do it the other way now. Like, we like the way we've been doing it. So I think Tariq is going to get faced with that by the end of this season. He's going to have to make some choices, for sure.
He's already making them.
Yeah, that's true. We see Diana is pressured by her mom to help out the family. She wants to go to school and live a normal life. And her mom is like, nope, you need to be prepared to step up and take charge because your brothers are useless and stupid, essentially. Whereas her dad wants the one brother to step up, who is probably the smarter, more rational two out of the brothers. And the hot-headed one thinks that he should be in charge, or he should be the one that's entrusted to do things. And we all know how these kind of stories end. Like, it's not going to end well for these boys because they're going to end up at odds. They're already building them up to be at odds, period. The more interesting thing here is Diana, her mom, Mary J, wanting her daughter to be the one to take the lead on this. And she's like, I don't want to do this. I just want to, be normal. Like, I want to go to school. She makes it very clear she wants her to stay the heck away from Tariq because don't no good come from being around him. Tariq gets his roommate, a.k.a. her nephew, to set up another meet. And he asks her to be his supplier. And she tells him, in the end, she agrees to it, but she tells him, you can't live here. You need to go live somewhere else. So he says, okay, cool. He can go live with that white boy. Now, when they called Tasha to threaten Tasha, I was like, who has these inmate burner phone numbers?
Yo, me too. continuity. I was like, bruh, wait. So his connections are that deep that
Yeah,
he got the burner incoming phone number? What?
yeah, I was like, that's on a whole nother level of what the fuck. But okay, so he calls Tasha and threatens her and tells her Tariq's gonna, work for us and he'll do what we want him to do, or we'll kill him.
I would have believed it more if a CO would have came in there and handed her a phone than for him to
Yeah,
be calling the burner phone that nobody knows the number. I guess he got the phone number from Tariq. I got it. I get it.
No, he went around Tariq. Tariq don't even know that phone call happened.
I know. I
So,
know. Don't
gotcha.
nobody got that number though. I ain't even give you my number.
So,
I was thinking that same thing though, and I don't understand how writers. Do you think writers think about it and then just be like, so what? Ain't nobody gonna think about it.
Evidently, clearly they let that shit ride and was just like, oh well, you know what? They're gonna just assume that he's that powerful.
Yeah. I guess that is it. Interesting.
Exactly. That wraps that. I mean, that's the big parts of this episode.
Mhm.
Not a lot to deep dive into anymore with this episode, really. Okay. So that's it for Power. And Antebellum came out this week. New movie that is available to download and stream and watch. It's one of those, should have been in a movie theater. Movie theaters are closed, so buy it on Amazon and watch it at home. Stars Janelle Monáe and Gabby Sidibe is in it. It's written and directed by Gabriel Bush and Christopher Rentz. And essentially the synopsis is a woman from modern times is trapped in the past on a plantation and has to figure out how to escape and get back. We have watched the movie. We're not going to go into it here. We'll go into it at a later time. But I would recommend watching it. It is not, what do they call it?
A Black Pain movie?
Yeah, there you go. It's not that. I've seen a lot of people give it shit because they said it's just another slave movie. And do we really need to watch this again?
I feel like it wasn't that. Yeah.
There's a lot more to it than that. It is a good story. It's a good psychological thriller. It's not what you think it is on the surface. So I would say watch it. Armani, would you say watch it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Dexter, would you say to watch it?
They didn't show anything about them in the trailer, so it's one of those movies where when they don't tell you a lot, you can, when you finally find out what it is, you can, be led to disappointment. However, I thought it was really good, and I understand exactly why they didn't advertise much of the movie. I liked it.
Yeah, because any advertising for this movie or anything, any trailers that were too long would have blown up the entire plot of this movie. And
I don't remember what movie I saw, but when I remember being in the movie theater and seeing the trailer for this movie and going, oh, it looks good. It looks quality. You know what I mean? It tells you who it is. The music wasn't telling you anything about them. And sometimes, that's a good look. And sometimes that's the worst thing when they don't tell you anything about the movie, because sometimes they don't have anything to tell you. But other times they don't tell you the movie because they don't want to spoil it for you. And I think that's what they were going for this time.
Yeah, because there are trailers sometimes give away the entire film. And it's like, all right, I saw it all in a trailer. So it's worth watching. Watch it and judge for yourself. Don't go based on anyone's writings, or I've seen articles that were just not that great, and I think that's better than what people are saying it is. Anyway, so all right, we're gonna wrap this up with sleepers. This week's sleepers, Armani, what's your sleeper this week?
My sleeper is Daybreak on Netflix. It is a show about a zombie apocalypse where basically anyone over 20, I believe, turned into a zombie. So you basically have all these teenagers trying to navigate the zombie apocalypse. It's lighthearted. It's a comedy.
It's lighthearted. Okay, that's interesting.
But there is a bit of gore. But that's my sleeper for this week.
You said it's Daybreak on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
Dex, what's your sleeper?
My sleeper is Old Boy. Has anybody ever seen Old Boy?
I have. The original or the remake?
The remake. I think Spike Lee had something to do with it, I believe.
I only saw the original one.
But Josh Brolin is, Elizabeth Olsen is in it, Samuel Jackson is in it. What's the guy's name? Rami Malek? I don't know if that's how you say his name, but Nick, it's a lot of Oz in this movie.
Okay.
The guy who played the guy from The Sopranos, the one that was in Oz is in it. The chief from The Wire. Anyway, you'll see it. We'll check it out or whatever, because I haven't seen it in a while. But I remember it being a pretty good movie. It's directed by Spike Lee. It's not a Spike Lee joint. but it's actually a thriller directed by Spike Lee. And like she said, it's a remake. I didn't even really know it was a remake, so I need to watch the old one. Did you watch the old one or the new one?
Yeah, I watched the old one, the Korean version. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I believe it's a remake of a Korean movie.
So where could one find Old Boy right now if they wanted to watch it?
On Prime.
So my sleeper this week is going to a television series that you can find on HBO. It is called The Great Pottery Throwdown. It is a BBC show. There are 3 seasons on HBO. I binge watched. There's only 6 episodes. See, it's not a lot. It's not long seasons. I think it's only like 6 to 8 episodes a season. So they're pretty quick watches. They are hour-long episodes. It's amazing because it takes these home potters, like these people who do home ceramics, and it's like the master chef of pottery. But it goes beyond pottery because truthfully, I didn't realize how much stuff is made out of clay. Like plates, you know, so like you think ceramics, so you think, you know, flower pots and vases or vases, however you want to pronounce it, don't care. Those are ceramics, but your dinner plates, they appear to like they break. Those are made out of clay. That's the type of clay. Porcelain. So your toilet starts its life off as clay. Bone china starts its life off as clay. Like there's so many of these things that we have in the world other than normal hand-blown glass that starts its life off as clay. And depending on, there's different types of clay. There's clay that hardens to the point where it looks almost like, well, brick, it starts off as clay. Essentially, cement is, you know, in that mix too. But so there's these different types of clay that they have to work with to make different things. And each episode, they're given these different challenges. And of course, someone gets voted off based on how crappy their work. Not even how crappy their work is, because all of it's really good, but it really comes down to attention to detail and did you do the task that you're asked to do. Because these people are asked to make a plate set, like make a full 16-piece dinner set. And it takes 7 days to do that. Like it takes them 4 hours to actually make the sets out of clay. Then it has to dry for so long. Then it has to go into a fire and get like fired. And then they have to bring it back and decorate it. And that's when it gets dipped into what makes it look like glass, or like what finishes it and makes it look like, you know, the white finish or whatever color they decorate it.
So they decorate
glaze. So they decorate it, then have to glaze it, and then it goes back into the fire and it comes out. And there's so many uncontrollables because you think it's just based on, can you do like pottery well? Like how good are you at the pottery wheel with the clay? But you can make a fucking masterpiece at this wheel, and then it goes into the kiln to get dried and fire, and there's so many things that are outside of your control. If there's too much moisture because the clay is too thick, the weather, depending on what type of, like there's this one episode where they had to use an outside kiln, and the weather in England is really rainy and questionable. So it rained that day, and then it caused gas to get trapped inside the kiln, which caused people's pieces to bubble because of the gas and the combustion. It's just shit you just can't. You just don't know. No matter how good you are, you don't know what's gonna come out of there. Yeah, it's really entertaining. It's nice to see people doing things that they enjoy, and it's like a challenge. So it's like MasterChef-esque, where you get these home cooks who enjoy cooking and love what they're doing. MasterChef Kids or MasterChef Junior is better to me than MasterChef, but anyway. But very much like how that is how this show is. And again, it's on HBO. If you choose to watch it, be prepared that there is a host and a judge change on season 3. Because I started season 3 and I was just like, hey, and then I was like, wait a minute, this isn't the lady I've come to like over the last 2 seasons of this show. Yeah, it was and it's kind of.
They wouldn't pay her.
She's so funny. Like I want to like look into what she's done, because she brings a great comedy to the show. And one of the judges is a professional, like potter. Well, both judges are professionals at what they do. But he cries when someone does a really good job. And it's so moving because he will pick up someone's work and just be like, oh my God, this is really good. And he was busting in tears. And I'm like, yo, this guy's like my pottery, like spirit animal. Just cries at the drop of a dime. Yeah, it's great. It's an amazing show. Again, it's called The Great Pottery Throwdown. You can find it on HBO. And that's my sleeper for this week. Anything else anyone's planning on watching, looking forward to next week? We've got Fargo The new season of Fargo starts next Monday, so that'll get added to the rotation weekly.
How you like Fargo?
Fargo's pretty fucking amazing. Yeah, that was a sleeper that was followed up on. So we've binge watched 2 seasons, and there's 10 episodes a season? It's 20 hours of television. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up season 3 before Monday. It's a really good show. So that's a sleeper that you should definitely watch. It's still doable by the time this gets out. However, and we discussed this, I would recommend watch Fargo the movie, because I had not seen the movie, and I tried to watch the TV show when you told me to watch it a while ago, and I was like, I don't really like it. So I stopped. But watching the movie the other day, it's like, okay, this was good consuming it as an adult, because it came out, we were young, and it was just like, what the fuck is it? Watching it now, you're like, okay, this is good, this is intriguing, it's a dark comedy. And then knowing that this TV show exists in the world that is loosely pulled from this movie, you're like, okay, how did they take this and get 3 seasons worth of content out of it? So then you're intrigued. And then you go back and watch the series, and it's so much better. So if you've never seen Fargo the movie, you should watch that before you watch the show, because it will make it such a better experience, in my opinion.
I agree.
So, anything else?
It's not a true story, though. Like, they're killing me. They're killing me. They make sure they let you know, like, every episode, true events, names have been changed, and it's like,
it's all a lie.
Yeah, the events have happened in life, but not within this story is what they basically are
not
saying.
Not necessarily in North Dakota or Minnesota or South Dakota where all this stuff takes place, or Fargo. Yeah. So, but it's definitely compelling, well written out television. Like, every episode, at the end of every episode, you're fulfilled, and you
literally
look at the next episode. Like, there's no fuck. Like, you want to move on, but the same there's a period. Every episode actually ends with a period, but you want to keep going. It's like a really good book. Good book. Very well written. All right, well, I guess that's a podcast.
That's a podcast.
All right, so until next time, take care of yourselves and be good to each other.